Hey everybody, I am finishing chapter 6 today. Well, we're going to go to chapter 5, finish chapter 5, and start on chapter 6. So here is the chapter 5, and we mentioned some of the risk associated with child abuse and neglect. Hey, how's it going? What's that?
I said 5 years.
Okay, I'm good. I couldn't hear as I still had that in. I'm making sure I reviewed these. Okay, yeah, I'm going to finish these last 3 slides. So child abuse and neglect. Some of the things that come up, the risk factors, parent of caregiver factors would be like the psychology and well-being, and then also history of child abuse and neglect. Substance use, so like if parents are using heroin or drinking, sometimes they can like pass out and forget about the kids for a while, and they run outside and Child Protective Services gets called. Age can be differing factors, because like if you have a kid in your teens, sometimes it's harder to financially take care of them. If you have a kid when you're older, it can be hard physically to take care of them. Like you're just an old bastard like myself. I'm 43, so I want to have a baby, and you just got to stay in good shape. And if you don't do the self-care, it's easy to with lacking economic resources, maybe fly off the handle or neglect some of the needs. And then if you're not able to keep up with them physically, also, I've noticed some parents like reverting to maybe a physical abuse. So some family factors like the family structure, marital conflict and domestic violence, stress, and then parent-child interaction. And the last few they had on here were the child factors, age, and then if they have disabilities, they do notice a little bit higher of an incidence of like child abuse if there is a disability that causes behaviors and whatnot. Oh, is it getting hot out there? It feels like it's hot in here, but I don't know how hot it is out there yet. Let's see. What's the temperature?
It's currently 63 degrees.
That makes sense. They probably heated it. The building, it got down to 20 some last night, and then we heated the building up, and now it's hot outside. So, okay, so a few other environmental factors we covered. Poverty is one. Unemployment. Social isolation. Lack of social support. And or violent communities. So those are some of the things that come up with child abuse and neglect. Is Monique Grant in our class? I can't remember. She said, do we have class? I don't know if she's asking for like digital, or I'm filming for the link, or if she's coming in person. Because I will, as usual, have to leave right at the end. Moving fast. I just wanted to field your all's. Oh yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with it now, but usually when like you record, we get a notification like we can watch you right now.
Oh really?
But it hasn't been like that lately.
They could have either taken you off of notifications just for the heck of it, or they got mad that I was filming like paper tigers and they considered that copyright, so they could have flagged my channel or whatever. But it's still there. You can go back and look at it, right? Probably. But yeah, they might have gotten mad that we were filming paper tigers for educational purposes only. But hopefully, actually the TED Talk I showed on Friday, it cut out all the parts of that, but it still let me show my PowerPoint stuff. So yeah, they're pretty strong on copyrighted information. The last class I did was Friday, and then we just got a live stream today. So we're done with the child.
Yeah, like on upgrades, the last video that posted was on February 10th.
Really? I wonder if they really like shut down my channel. Let's see if, what's that? I wonder, I feel like I've seen some people looking at it. Does it say the channel's blocked or like? It also could be, I'm filming from, I have two, Yukon John Juan is one account, and then I have my Miami University John Trout. Are you able to see it live?
Okay, now, yes, showing up your right now.
Okay, but it won't show any videos past February 10th?
On Schoology.
Okay. I probably need to paste that in. So, let's see here. I can do that. So let's say copy link, go into hbse, and then hit, because maybe I was just expecting too much. I thought you guys would subscribe and get a notification, but I think I have to press this bell in Schoology. So Schoology would give the notification. Is that what you're saying?
Say that again?
Would Schoology give the notification?
Yeah, Schoology.
Okay.
On Schoology, I usually get a notification like.
Okay.
I don't know if you post it or.
I was to get people used to it, and then I thought I saw people subscribing to the YouTube channel, so I thought they would get the notification that way too. Okay. And it is hybrid, half in person. But we finished early childhood, finishing up with the child abuse and neglect, and now we're over here on middle childhood. It's kind of the next round of questions. Oh, I have to enable that. Let's see here. That's good to hear that they didn't block my channel completely. They got mad about paper tigers, because sometimes they do that. They're like, hey. But ideally, I forget when you guys signed up to present. Are you going in like this month or next month? A lot of people did for next month. You said you would do yours early? Or? Okay. Oh, right. Oh, you had yours ready for today, or did you want to go ahead and do it, or do you want to wait until Wednesday? It's totally up to you. Yeah. Yeah. If you're ready for today, do it. I know how that is. Probably, yeah. You could probably send it into, I know I get Schoology here, so if you send it, are you able to send it in Schoology? Okay, sure. And then we'll do some of middle childhood next time. I gotta make sure I can see it. Okay. Did that link notification work now? I just sent one.
Yeah, it said your name posted on first object.
Okay. Hello. How y'all doing? Good. Yeah, so we'll have you do your presentation. Do you guys know what days you signed up for your presentations?
Yeah.
Okay. This month or next month?
This month.
Okay, cool. That's what I was gonna say. Most people did that, but yeah, you can give yours now. Here. Okay. Cool. But we were just finishing up with early childhood, just kind of risk factors associated with child abuse and neglect. And then we're now starting in on chapter 6. which is middle childhood. And then I remembered you signed up to present today. So if you send your stuff, then we are good to go. But the first stuff on middle childhood, they do development. So this Erickson guy is the theorist they'll always ask you guys about on your social work license whenever you take it. If it's after you graduate or if you take it, you're allowed to take it as soon as January of your final year, your senior year. But Erickson, they'll ask about all of the different theories. In middle childhood, we're in industry versus inferiority. Can you email? That's fine. Yeah, you could email it. I should get it on here. jtrouth@centralstate.edu. I don't think that one matters so much. So just JTRAUTH. And then that way I can forward it to this one. Let me see. Sometimes they take a minute. What were you presenting on, your topic? Okay, cool. I don't see anything yet, but let me also get a little bit of a sign-in sheet. And sign in. All right, cool. We'll get the. How are you guys all? How's your other classes? They do okay. You believe it's half over? Yeah. What other classes are you in? Are they all online? Like, I feel like it's harder if you don't meet in person or film the class. That can be. What year were you guys graduate? I always forget that. Nice. That's coming up fast then, isn't it?
I had a question.
Uh-huh.
Any topic for presentation or is it a specific topic?
So ideally, a mental health topic, like a mental health challenge, something you would find in like the DSM-5. So poverty, there's depression, alcoholism, addiction, trauma, things. Did you have one in mind? I could see if it fit under the.
I just wanted to know the criteria for the presentation.
Right. So usually picking a mental health topic. And if you did do addiction, alcoholism, depression, PTSD, any of those nature, like define the problem, what it looks like in society, how it affects folks. And then the last piece is how social workers help to address it.
So how many slides do you have?
So to get you to about 15, 17 minutes, if you can. So covering all the info that you can just to give a normal presentation. And you can write your final paper about it too, if you wanted to. Like if you wanted to have them both be similar topics, the final paper in this class is about 6 pages. And if you want to do both of those at the same topic, I'm okay with that. And if you want to do the final paper just the way that they describe it in the syllabus, that's okay too. Like you can do, it's like telling a life story using the genogram and the eco map and like things you experience. Are you both social work majors? Nope. What's your major? Okay. What's yours? Okay. Do they have this one as a requirement for criminal justice majors? Have you guys take a few social work classes? No. Who's the head over there? I always forget who the chair is or who the teachers are. They have like 300 from the that other school. Like I think we just got 300 or 600 new criminal justice majors, and they're from like California online and whatnot. If you have a thumb drive, you could do that too. I didn't see anything. You sent it to jtrouth at centralstate.edu.
I just sent it.
Let me look in junk mail just in case. I don't see anything yet, but do you need a thumb drive? Because I could go get one from over there if you need these. Do you have one? Okay, I'll grab it. I just have one here. Oh, I see it in Schoology now. I just saw it here. So you can try to put it on there and then I'll look it up in Schoology. That's funny when Schoology goes to your watch. Like, hey. All right. Let's see here. Okay, I got it. It just doesn't update on this one unless if you update it yourself. So I will open it up for you and you can get moving. Sweet. There it is.
Oh, you said define the problem, how it affects society, and what else?
Like what social workers do to help. You know, how do you help somebody with alcoholism, PTSD, addiction, or trauma? So yeah, you're in the hot seat if you.
Okay. So my topic is post-traumatic stress disorder. That's my name, Twanaja. So it said, what is post-traumatic stress disorder? Post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, is a mental health condition that's triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing it or witnessing it. You can develop post-traumatic stress disorder when you go through, see, or learn about an event involving actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violation. Symptoms of PTSD: flashbacks, which come as recurrent, unwanted, distressing memories of the traumatic event, reliving the traumatic event as if it were happening again, upsetting dreams or nightmares about the traumatic event, severe emotional distress or physical reactions to something that reminds you of the event. You can also have nightmares, severe anxiety, uncontrollable thoughts about the event. Most people who go through traumatic events may have temporary difficulty adjusting and coping. Causes: stressful experiences, including the amount and severity of trauma you've gone through in your life. Inherited mental health risks, such as a family history of anxiety and depression. Inherited features of your personality, often called your temperament. The way your brain regulates the chemicals and hormones your body releases in response to stress. Combat exposure, childhood physical abuse, sexual violence, physical assault, being threatened with a weapon, or an accident. Complications. Post traumatic stress disorder can disrupt your whole life, your job, your relationships, your health, and your enjoyment of everyday activities. It can also cause you to have depression and anxiety, issues with drugs or alcohol use, eating disorders, suicidal thoughts and actions. Prevention. After surviving a traumatic event, many people have PTSD like symptoms at first, such as being unable to stop thinking about what's happened. Fear, anxiety, anger, depression, guilt, all are common reactions to trauma. However, the majority of people exposed to trauma do not develop long term post traumatic stress disorder. Getting timely help and support may prevent normal stress reactions from getting worse and developing into PTSD. This may mean turning to family and friends who will listen and offer comfort. It may mean seeking out a mental health professional for a brief course of therapy. Some people may also find it helpful to turn to their faith community, like a church. Support from others also may help prevent you from turning to unhealthy coping methods such as misuse of alcohol or drugs. Fun facts about PTSD. Teal is the color that represents PTSD. June is PTSD Awareness Month. Approximately 7 or 8 of every 100 people will have PTSD at some point in their lives. Women are more likely to experience PTSD, approximately 10 out of every 100 women, compared to 4 out of 100 men. About half of people with PTSD may recover in 3 months without treatment. And then it's like a bibliography.
Citation. Now, interesting fact is PTSD used to only be for veterans and like combat veterans,
Mhm.
and they shifted that in the past 10 years to include children. So
And
you
then-
guys,
I don't think it added what I was talking about, like the trauma social workers that counsel you when you're going through PTSD and they teach you healthy tips and explain to you basically what's happening and stuff like that.
Do you guys have any questions, comments, or experiences with the PTSD? And I know. So when they added the children in, that was DSM-5. I was trained in psychology in the DSM-4. It was just veterans and like people who had experienced war. But then they saw kids who experienced child abuse and sometimes neglect, and even as young as 3, 4, and 5 can now be diagnosed with PTSD. So I go to the private practice and right after this class, and sometimes we have to diagnose some of them with PTSD. Well, thank you so much. Did that work on my thumb drive?
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, so that was kind of a new thing for me to diagnose kids with PTSD, as we were just so used to combat veterans getting diagnosed with it. Like they came home from the Iraq War or Afghanistan War in the past 20 years. And those who, there's somebody that I knew that had fought in the Army, and one time they did a raid. And when they go in, you don't know who you're going to see there, and you're also just cautious so you don't get shot. And I think one of them has some severe PTSD from either saving a 16-year-old in Afghanistan from a bad situation, and another one had where they had maybe even harmed. Like sometimes they kill civilians by accident, and that usually just like that's kind of your typical. Same with Vietnam War. That's where they first started seeing a lot of the PTSD. Like someone would come home and just having a lot of trouble readjusting to life. They would just, after you're in like a war field, I think Vietnam lasted 20 years. Now Afghanistan has gone on for 20 years, and you're just so used to war and combat and like for survival, and your sentences are heightened and alerted the whole time. Some of them did turn to unhealthy coping, which is like drug use and alcohol abuse and things of that nature. So, as social workers, getting them connected with a trauma group and a support group is like probably the most important that you could do. I do have a trauma presentation I was going to give you guys later on in the semester, but since we're getting towards presentation time, what other questions do you have about like presentations and how to do your presentations and do it well, so we're passing on info to others in the class? How many wanted to go to graduate school in here? Is it just like half of you still, or are you a lot of you just doing the BSW? So the cool part, as I mentioned before, here, if you finish with a BSW, it qualifies you for advanced standing MSW. So you cut out a whole half of your graduate school. So like 30 credit hours, which basically means like your senior year covers everything you would cover your first year of graduate school. So when you qualify for advanced standing, around here we have Miami Middletown, University of Cincinnati, and you start in June and you actually finish in May. So you have a master's in less than a year after you graduate from your bachelor's of social work. Most people, you hear graduate school, you're like, oh, that means 3 or 4 more years of grad school. But because we're fully accredited by the Council on Social Work Ed, you qualify for that advanced standing. You can be done with a master's in social work in less than a year. And it like significantly raises your pay if you get a license and a master's, especially when you get the independent license. So, any other questions about the homework, discussions that we have? Because now we're getting into middle childhood. So, this is kind of the age where kids are learning rules and fairness. If you have any nieces and nephews, they'd be like, they notice when you cut a piece of cake bigger for yourself than when you cut it for them. They'd be like, well, I want your piece. So fairness rules, and then establish friendships and peer groups. Dr. Erickson called this stage industry versus inferiority, which means they're mastering social and cognitive skills and then measuring success against their peers. So it could be in sports, it could be in academics, it could be in, a variety of things. And then in the development of the child culture, there's also development of physical and cognitive skills. So like I mentioned, with sports, what is the earliest sports? What sports did you guys play when you were growing up, if you played any? Track? Do they do that young? Like what age do they start track at? Because I remember I did it in high school, and they also had us run the mile. It was like 4 laps around the 2 soccer fields, I think. And then, anybody else sports growing up? Okay. Did you ever get competitive with it? Like, did you want to outrun everybody, or did you want to how competitive was it? Would they, could you get a scholarship for it, or would it be like things like that? Okay. I actually did track, and I ran cross country, and then played soccer. I kind of sucked at all of them. I was okay at cross country, but so that's kind of when you're learning that stuff, physical and cognitive skills. So even like learning class, learning how to compete in your grade schools and high schools. And you have more interaction with your peers. So, after ages 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, now you're going to either preschool or kindergarten. And half the day you're without your parents. So that's why you have more physical interaction with other kids. You also have the biophysical dimension. So growth is slow and consistent. That's different than when we said the baby, as a newborn, you're only 6 or 7 pounds and you like triple your birth weight. After a year, you're almost 20 pounds from 6 to 7 pounds and just get huge fast. As a kid, you still grow faster than adults, but it's kind of like slow and steady. Girls are faster than boys until what age do boys finally catch up to girls? Do you guys remember? I can't. You know how girls are always taller than boys up until a certain grade? Like girls are bigger and taller than boys usually up until 5th grade, 10 years old. You're also learning your motor development, so like changes in coordination, agility, smoothness. Elementary school children are fascinated with many sports activities. 7 to 8 year olds are more interested in sit down games due to increased attention span and cognitive abilities. So before that, you didn't really want to sit down and do like a board game or whatever it is. But at the age of 7, they call that the age of reason. 7 or 8, you can actually kind of focus a little more. I know nowadays we all have cell phones and laptops and dings here and there and getting distracted all the time. It's hard to focus on anything. But at about the age of 8, you can focus better. You guys notice more distractions all day, every day? How is it learning online? Which one do you prefer? And you don't have any other in-person classes?
I was supposed to have gym, but we never even had class.
Really? I feel like, yeah, last year, you're right. I saw them like doing laps around the track. Is that for is it a phys ed major or do they call it something else, like exercise science major?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to do that as it will get you to exercise every day. Okay, here it is. Boys are ahead in gross motor skills, but girls are ahead in fine motor skills. So fine motor is like maybe like details and drawing. Boys are gross motor, maybe like running, jumping, things of that nature. And then readiness point at which a child's development maturity allows him or her to quickly learn a skill. Last 2 slides I'm covering today as we actually move fast. Physical activity, there's declining physical activity, especially for girls, and it contributes to childhood obesity. So if we're doing more sitting in front of video games instead of playing outside or in the woods or whatever, we have less activity. Even the pandemic, as an example, people were less apt to go outside and work out at a gym or things. Older children are gaining weight and becoming increasingly sedentary. What factors do you guys think contribute to physical inactivity? Like what things that you saw growing up would have you be more inactive than actually getting out and playing outside? Would you say games? Video games? I feel like, yeah, in 1986, the Nintendo came out for me. And we went from like playing out in the woods and doing bikes and even capture the flag to like 2 or 3 hours a day. You're playing Super Mario Brothers and like Mike Tyson's Punch Out and stuff like that. And now there's a ton of video games. I know they tried to do like Pokemon where you'd go capture things outside and like walk more. But I think that, yeah, so video games, television, failure of parents and physical education programs to instill in children lifelong exercise ethic, or maybe like your exercise class, they make you do everything online now, or how do you do an exercise class online? Yeah, I'd see them all. Like you do 4, 5, 6 laps, right? Like a mile and a half. So now what do? They just give you a quiz online, or do you at least say, yo, dude, I walked 3 miles today. I'm feeling good. Discussion board. Like, hey, I ran the exercise bike and jumped in the pool and swam 7 laps and I'm feeling good. I'm going to go smash on a Big Mac. Okay. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. All right. So yeah, the idea is, again, training us young. Like I have to learn. I did 8 years of no exercise in graduate school because it was a little bit stressful, like getting my doctorate. But then when I got back into running the very end of grad school, I noticed how good of a stress outlet it was. Like I trained and ran the full Flying Pig Marathon in Cincinnati, and it was a good stress outlet, like it felt good. Are you guys from Cincinnati, either one? What cities? Okay. They got a big marathon, don't they? I feel like they have it's a flat Chicago marathon. Cincinnati's like all hills, and then Chicago, you get a good time. It's probably on that lake, right? Okay. So one thing to add on to this, the pandemic has made people less active. Although some people became more active in the pandemic, like either some people just like sat inside all day and hung out, or went outside and exercised all day outside because none of the gyms were open or something. So it could have gone one of two ways. So there's that quote at the bottom. It says, if you don't train them while they're young, they won't exercise while they're adults. And I do remember that email from my dad. I was 33 years old. He said, when I turned 33 years old, I made a commitment to exercise every day of my life. And he knew that I had not done anything since I was 25 because I was already kind of just sedentary. And so at 33, and now I'm about to be 43, and the second baby's on the way in May. And so now it's like you exercise to live longer. My dad's 76. He got the vaccine next month. He turned 77. I wish he didn't get the vaccine, though. I still want it to be USDA approved before that. So anyway, last slide. Movement skills can influence extent of participation. It can also contribute to positive emotional development. Last one I wanted to cover starting right now and then going to next class, like poverty and nutrition. How do you guys think poverty could affect our nutrition if we're impoverished? Absolutely. So it's easier to buy like, what are they called? Like processed foods because they stay on the shelf longer, and they're usually food deserts have like gas stations that will sell processed foods that are easier to get into. Some of them are okay, but if that's all that I'm eating, I'm not getting out and doing fresh greens and vegetables and enough water. It can have an effect. Here's two diseases that come from it. Creatinism is chronic disease characterized by physical deformity, and dwarfism caused by a lack of iodine in drinking water. So apparently there's iodine in our drinking water. Like the government supplies that. Or rickets is permanent damage in the bones resulting in a flat chest, deformed pelvis, or crooked back caused by vitamin D deficiency. You guys know what the biggest place we get vitamin D is? Right. You're sitting in it right there. You're getting some. So in the pandemic, they actually said those who had lower vitamin D levels were affected more by the virus. So if you aren't getting it in the winters, we only have like that much sun right now. It's coming back this first month of spring, but they would say buy vitamin D pills or drink vitamin D fortified milk. That's why they started fortifying milk with vitamin D. Because inner city, there was taller buildings, and the kids, maybe even like Chicago, the kids never got vitamin D because the buildings were blocking the sun. And so they fortified milk with vitamin D, and now they sell pills of vitamin D. And it's important, yeah. So either lay out and let the sun get in through your skin, or take a vitamin D supplement because it can like save your life in this pandemic, which is kind of crazy. So any questions about anything? I know we're right up on the end here. Yeah, so March 21st this year is